Welcome to Inspired by Design, the podcast where we explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you rediscover your authentic self and navigate life with less resistance. I'm Katie Rupert, a former hustle and grind overachiever on a thrilling and messy journey. I love to share what I'm learning and help others in self-discovery using human design. So, if you're seeking a way to move forward, let me be your weekly mindset coach and share stories to inspire you to action towards your unique purpose without the force or burnout. Hello. Welcome back. Today's guest is Lynnea Brumbaugh, founder of the Executive OS and a trusted advisor to executive teams who are ready to lead without burnout. Dr. Lynnea trains leadership teams to operate from brilliance instead of artificial harmony, helping them navigate difficult strategic conversations without emotional turbulence. Her work blends executive strategy, conscious leadership, and deep self-awareness so that teams can thrive in a rapidly evolving business landscape. After a powerful midlife transformation shaped by profound personal experiences, including early brushes with death and 2 international adoptions, she shifted into a more present moment leadership, and she hasn't looked back. Through her Executive OS program and her 2-year Certified Master of Conscious Leadership certification, she equips leaders, coaches, and consultants to build high-performing teams and profitable businesses rooted in clarity and consciousness. She's worked with organizations like MetLife, Gen X Consulting, and today she is here to talk about why leadership is evolving fast, with or without you. Dr. Lynnea, thanks for being here on Inspired by Design. Welcome.
Oh my gosh, Katie, thank you so much. It is a pleasure and a delight and a joy to be here. I love your energy.
Thank you for being here. And one other bio I need to do, since on this podcast we look through the lens of human design, I also want to introduce you as a manifesting generator who has a sacral or gut authority and a 4-1 profile, which, fun fact, a 4-1 is like 1% of the population. It's a very rare one to have. And it gives you that natural network builder energy combined with a foundational certainty, like that expert quality, which when I got to be part of your Executive OS program here these last month or so, and it has been really fun to watch that one energy come out, and that being your unconscious, I don't know that you know the value that comes across when you're teaching. So that's really fun to watch and witness as a human design person. And we did your reading not so long ago, and I know there were a few times when you're like, yeah, that sounds right. And so
it's been so eye-opening, like really and truly. I went from human design skeptic to human design curious to I just really now need to know a lot more about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I love your work.
Oh, thank you. Well, we met at a networking event and I was like, ooh, I like her. So you said, you like my energy. I liked yours. We're magnets to each other's. And you are an expert in one of my, not past life, I was going to say past life obsessions, past season obsessions, the Enneagram. So I hope that will come up in our conversation today too. It comes up in a lot of episodes of Inspired by Design. So I know that it's just out there and people talk about it, and it's becoming more and more of something that people can have that common ground on, as I hope human design eventually will be as well.
I do too.
And honestly, with the Enneagram, when I first started studying it, no one knew what the heck it was. And now everyone's talking about it all the time. So it can happen, and it does. And it's really helped with the culture, I think, especially, I'm sure, with leadership. So I mean, that whole phrase that you giggled at, right? Like, leadership's evolving with or without you. I'd love for you just to talk a little bit about what you mean by that, and then just what you do, maybe a little bit of your journey that you're willing to share. I want people to hear stories that inspire to action. And you're someone that's had a lot of resilience, and you have such a positive attitude moving throughout your life as well. And I think that that's inspiring to everyone. So tell us all about you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so let's start with leadership is evolving with or without you. If you think about it in terms of intergenerational leadership, there is this digital divide, right, between the digital natives, the young leaders coming up, and the digital immigrants, those of us who did not grow up with a phone in our hands. And that digital divide is part of what is driving leadership evolution. Young people have a truly different way of interfacing with the world
Mm.
and of finding out information and of socializing. And the ways that traditional leadership basically says, this is what you need to do it and work hard, it literally is not going to work.
Yeah.
Like it just won't. It's like saying to um, a an electric car, here's the crank for your Model T, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not going to work. Young people, upcoming leaders require mentorship over information.
Mm.
They they crave to be mentored because they know how to know things. Like they're very good at finding out information. And they understand at their core that basically, like, the grown-ups don't necessarily have my back. The
Mm.
world is a very unstable place. They grow up not believing, like not being wired to understand in any real way that the next step will lead to the next step and you'll be fine. Like that was like I kind of grew up that way, and that's how all of my whatever we'll just go out and do our thing, and eventually the world will take care of us. No, this is not how young people are
Wow.
wired anymore. So basically, leadership needs to prioritize mentorship and emotional intelligence. It just does. That is crucial. And the other thing that upcoming leadership is going to require is young person, like old, young, like at the dregs of the millennials and then the upcoming Zeds. Um, I do not really care to work my fingers to the bone for a company that will never love me back. I already get it that an institution is never going to love me back. I read the internet, like I know this.
Yeah.
And so I am not going to experience burnout and mental health crises for the sake of a company that I don't believe has my back.
Wow.
And so I am not going to be motivated by like tons, like everybody's motivated by money, right? But I'm not going to be motivated by the promise of more money for more work, and moving up a ladder.
Hmm.
They don't believe that, and they don't have any evidence that it's happening. They don't believe it for good reason. So, what they require instead, what motivates them for real, is a sense of well-being and purpose.
Hmm.
If we give our upcoming leaders a sense of well-being and purpose and a sense of real mentorship, all of the really painful stereotypes. You're lazy. You don't work hard. Like all of those things that people say about Zeds and said about millennials, and to a certain extent, the younger, older generation's always saying that stuff. But it's worse now. Like people are there's the divide is bigger. So those painful stereotypes really do fall away when those basic needs are being met. So that's what I mean in a nutshell when I say leadership is evolving with or without you. Like it's
Well,
coming. They are the upcoming leaders.
and what you're saying, like we have to evolve to meet them,
Exactly. We
and
get, yeah.
we get to, yes, and why wouldn't we want that intrinsic motivation
Yes.
first? You know, if
Yes.
someone wants purpose, it doesn't matter what the information or the how to is. I know when I feel a sense of purpose, it's not about how do I do this. It's let's try this and this and this, and you get more curious, and you're more crafty, and you're more evolved because you have that true vision.
Willing to work hard. I
That's
want to show
right.
up
If you
because
can
it's
get it
really
in from
aligned.
inside of them,
Oh,
yes,
yes.
instead of
Everybody's inner
just
generator gets happy.
exactly, yeah. Well, and the other thing when you were talking about like, okay, they need mentorship, the other thing that's really all of a sudden clear to me, I never even considered about the digital divide, which by the way, I'm like on the divide line. That's my age. So,
Oh,
so
interesting.
I am like the only like what 5 or 10 year span, whatever, however long it was, probably not even that long. It's probably
Uh-huh.
3 to 5 years where
Yeah.
I grew up with and without. So I know both worlds.
Yes.
We got our
Yes. So you
year
are
when I was
uniquely positioned to be
16.
a translator, an
Yeah.
interpreter,
A
an
bridge. I always
important
call myself
bridge.
a bridge. That's so good.
Yes. Woo!
So, but one of the things that like, oh, you know, I saw when people fully trusted information, right?
Mhm.
So you read something, it used to just be this big joke if you read it on the internet. It's true because we read newspapers that we thought were true, or we read books and they were truth, and we'd go to a lecture and everything they said was true. Well, the lines get real gray when you start having a bigger worldview and you start thinking about the mother in Africa raising her babies is not equal to the mother in a fancy suburb in Lake St. Louis, right?
Right.
So there's different truths, especially when it comes to leadership or information that's relevant and true for businesses. So
Yeah.
that's a big aha too. Wow, this is so important, Lynnea. I love that you're like leading the charge here. How beautiful. And
Oh,
tell us
thank you.
about how you do it too, and how did you get here?
Okay, so how I do it. How about we go how I do it first, and then we'll talk about how I got there because I might cry,
I,
and then it's
Crying's
hard to
welcome.
focus.
I'll cry too.
I'll
Okay,
cry at
we'll
the
have a
end.
release together.
So how I do it is I basically have a two-pronged approach. Those two prongs are embedded in the group coaching sessions that I give to anybody who's in any of my programs. I publish a book every year. All of my authors will have access to these programs. All of my executives have access to these programs, and my certifying masters, the ones who are getting a certification to be learning to do what I do. So everybody has access to those programs, and they're two different kinds. One I call Mondays on Fire, and that is resetting, restoring the nervous system, learning to tune into the gut, the body, the somatic intelligence for decision making and problem solving. And it's only 45 minutes on most Monday mornings, and it is like over time, it's transformational. People learn these skills to breathe and move well, to shift their energy, to tune into, oh, this is going on. Didn't know this was going on. This feels better. I can use this tool. And then also like quick ways to reliably tune into my soma, my body, to know how to trust this or that means something. And I can bring that intelligently into my week. Okay, so that's Mondays on Fire. The other thing that I do, I used to call it Friday Focus. I think it's about to be called Zero Drag, my zero drag sessions at the end of the week. These are hour-and-a-half sessions. The first 20 minutes, 30 minutes is meditation and learning to focus on certain parts of the body. Again, we're working to focus the mind on the body, and the body, once we tend the body, the heart opens. Once we tend to an open heart, our thoughts stop racing. We have access to a clearer and quieter mind, which is the basics of the Enneagram. So I've just described for you self-awareness through the Enneagram. And I specifically put that meditation at the beginning to get us present. And then the trainings are based in the teachings that I got from the Enneagram Institute from Russ Hudson. So there's a very specific way to work with this powerful tool so that our, I don't know, survival systems and defense systems don't just kick in and keep us from self-awareness, right? So we're always working with presence to keep people in self-awareness. And then we work, I frame the teachings so that they're helpful for conflict styles, for social styles, for, not burning. Like it's framed in terms that are helpful for a team. So those are the two main ways that I do it. And then I also have other ways that I work individually and with teams.
I love it. It's so good. That's so good. Oh, all right. So help bridge the gap because I know like
How
you've
did we get there?
professor,
Yes. Okay.
you've had
Okay.
Yeah, where, like, what sparked this? How did you get to this beautiful program that you have? I'm like, I'm part of it. And I'm like, I'm ready to sign up. Let's go.
Yay! I'm so glad. I always want to tell people breathe because I'm getting ready to tell you some truths. So, the first three times I almost died was before I was 25 years old. So I had a childhood cancer that my parents were given a 3% chance that I would live for a year. And so that process of like the gift of being alive and then the torture of the chemotherapy and radiation and so on, all of that was like transformational for me at a young age. I will often like later on I went, oh, most people have this kind of awareness that like life and humans are precious. They don't have that in fifth and sixth grade. Like trying to survive fifth and sixth grade. And so I had this sort of early openness because of that. And then the second time I, like many women, I was assaulted when I was in college. And that brought its own pain and transformation. And then randomly, when I was 25 years old, my ovary ruptured. Just like another near-death experience. So I was walking around in graduate school, getting my PhD, getting married with all of this trauma in my body that nobody knew about because at the time, right, there was no body keeps the scorebook for us
Mhm.
to understand
Right.
that bodies do keep score. So that is like part one and the foundation. And then part two is where it gets messy because I married a person that ended up not being aligned in any way, shape, or form. Adopted adorable little baby girl from China, now 26 years old. Got pregnant with twins and then miscarried, which was very sad. This was 2000, 2001. I think 2001, 9/11 happened after my miscarriage. Therefore, logically, and the only possible explanation for life is that I was designed for difficult motherhood. My grandmother, my great grandmother had 14 children, three sets of
Wow.
twins. And so, like one set of twins and a baby girl from China, that should be easy, right? And then I lost my twins. And so I had to come up with a difficult motherhood. That was first criteria. And second criteria was I needed to like engage in world peace.
Mm.
So my former husband and I went to Russia and adopted a little 8-year-old boy who had some severe special needs. He had severe scoliosis. He had these deformed arms. And then just being an 8-year-old who survived the first 8 years of his life in Russian orphanages in the 90s, like go there for a moment now that we know what trauma is, which I did not know when I adopted him. So the next 10 years were transformative in the ways that only having a special needs child in your home can be. And in 2009, when my former husband and a friend fell in love and had an affair, that's when I broke. I broke open. And obviously, it was painful and terrifying and all the things that a betrayal is. And also, my actual experience of this place where I was, there was the devastation, obviously. There was also just years and years of trauma and self-awareness and trying to like get practices that were going to help me survive all of this. And when there was a day when it was after I found out about the betrayal, and it was a friend took the kids, and I was by myself for the first time. And I, went into this place that felt like a dissolution of who I was. There's just no other way to say it. Like it was as if I was on fire in the Phoenix place, and it was so painful. And yet there was also this experience of utter love and utter beauty in the world, that this realization that I am still alive, this person that I thought that I was, professor, mom, wife, whatever, all of the things that I thought that I was, there was no me left. Like all of that was literally burned up in a fire. And there was like this like little featherless bird like that was actually I was like, oh, she's still alive. What does that mean? And my experience of walking through the world for about the next 6 months or so was just like everybody is so beautiful. I wish that we could all see, like, why don't people see how beautiful they are? Um, the way that I understood as re like actual reality cracked through and I experienced the truth that love really is the fabric of the universe. Oh, what a relief. And also, now that I've had this experience, what do I do? Like, I'm so broken. How do I have to get functional? I have to make sure my kids are taken care of. I have to finish this divorce. I have to like figure out the money of it all. I don't want to. The world is so beautiful. So there was all of that. And that was literally the foundation of my own energy healing, which brought me back to life, my own self-awareness to the Enneagram, which said, oh, that's why you're doing what you're doing. You can't do that anymore. And then that was the foundation of what I do now.
Wow. What a beautiful like example of both and mentality
Mhm.
because well, I can relate to your story. At least when you were saying you were broken, I just started feeling that very deeply in my body, And I agree. In my darkest hours, when I finally just like stopped going and looked around, I saw compassion. I saw little gestures of kindness mean so much that I would have taken for granted. And me learning how to ask for help made a huge difference in how I saw other people as well and
Mhm.
how I saw myself, and the self-awareness started coming. So that's thank you for sharing all that and so vulnerably. And I'm sure lots of people can relate whether they had these things
Yeah. And
happen.
I hope that not most people have their way to their next level of self-awareness happen through trauma. I don't recommend it.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for sharing your story. And it makes a lot of sense where you are now. I mean, I'm so stuck on whether I want you just to talk about your Enneagram type or like what keeps sticking out to me is this artificial harmony. I know we're kind of going back into the business, but
Mhm.
when you were talking about getting broken and this opening your eyes to how beautiful the world is, like if you translate that into teams or people that are trying to uh, uh, evolve past, like what we're all trying to do in our business is like some form of not stuffing it all down, but like putting it at base so that we can work and we can evolve and we can make a difference and we can have this purpose. And sometimes we lose the plot that it's inside of us, not the thing, the business or the accomplishment, right? So that artificial harmony is like, oh, well, this is kind of part of that. Um, talk about
Yeah.
like what that looks like when you're working with a team and you're like, oh no,
Yeah.
this is artificial harmony. Let's get
Yeah.
this is dangerous. Like what are we doing?
Yeah,
And how do
absolutely.
you
And I can do both and because my awareness about artificial harmony comes from my self-awareness through the Enneagram.
hmm.
So I can start there and then move over to artificial harmony. So my Enneagram type is type 9, the peacemaker. And peacemakers want more than anything else in the world to be at one with, to be harmonious with, to be not in conflict with, to be in law, like all the flow all the time. And in the sort of personality trance that says the most important thing in the world is that you don't ever get into conflict with anybody ever, since that's the little like the young survival system for the 9. The growth journey for the 9 is to set the boundaries, to say, first of all, to know what it is that I think and feel, because I can easily see what other people think and feel, but I don't know what I think and feel. So first of all, to know that, and then learn to say it and not just whisper it, but to say it as loud as everybody else does. Because nines tend to go, mm, nines tend to feel as if I breathe a little too loudly, that's taking up a lot of room. Probably
uh-huh.
should have
Is it
that.
about being a burden to others?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. I don't
That's
want to be like, and I don't want to take up too much space because like like if I take up space, I'm bumping up against somebody,
Mm.
like maybe I'll make them mad or whatever. Anyway, there are all kinds of little stories in there. And so the growth path for the nine is setting the boundaries, making sure that you're communicating clearly what those boundaries are, and also confronting people when they're like doing stupid stuff. Like, don't do the stupid stuff. That is destructive to the nine ego structure, which is exactly what we want. We want that ego structure to be able to dissolve. How that works for teams. So the 9 point is not just a personality that some people have. It also represents the part in all of us that wants peace of mind, that wants to avoid conflict, that wants to have harmony, right? And so within a team, especially when you like each other, you really don't want to like hurt people's feelings and make them mad, whether you're a nine peacemaker or not. Within an organization, within a team, destabilizing the way that we enjoy each other, the way that we like each other, confronting each other, it feels dangerous. It feels like maybe this will just like, well, there'll be a break, like maybe it won't work. And so when I'm working with teams, I use the five dysfunctions of a team model. And the baseline uh, functionality is around trust. Dysfunctionality is absence of trust. Functionality is trust. So we work on being able to trust that my experience is valid to share with you. Your experience, I can hear it. Like, so we work with that.
Yeah.
And then the next level is avoidance of conflict. And that's where artificial harmony lives. So we learn to search out conflict that's already there. We just don't want to acknowledge it. So we learn to look for it and intentionally bring it up to the surface in a conscious, kind, loving, and or pissed off kind of way. Like whatever it is, we
Get
can
it
get
out.
real with it, and it will not then be a drag on your whole team's systems.
It sounds a lot like cleaning up my side of the street. That's my like therapy language for looking for, okay, where is my part of this that I need to acknowledge and bring to the surface? That's what it sounds like a lot like.
Ooh, I like that, cleaning up my side of the
Clean up
street.
my side of the street.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And so I want to ask about the energetic piece of it because I know you're working with teams. So, and I mean, MetLife, a big corporate company, right? So I've watched your executive OS and you have some like physical practices you shared about your Monday fire and the energetic piece of it, like clearing your body, getting ready, taking care of yourself. That whole piece of it is to me absolute non-negotiable. And I know for you as well. And I'd never heard of someone taking the Enneagram and putting this energetic piece to it, but you've done it in such a neat way and beautiful and energy work is kind of my thing, you know. So how did you stumble upon this? And you've got a partnership. And then
Yeah.
I also just want to mention real quick before I have you share is in human design, you're sacral. So you've got that gut
Mhm.
authority. So really listening to your body wisdom is numero uno. If you don't want to second guess yourself, if you want to feel good in your body, have that flow, you know, serving your nine's desire would be always listening to your body. So it really fits well for you. So tell us how I want to know about it. And then how do people feel about it at first? Does it take them a little while? Is it weird for them? Or like, how do you bridge that gap?
Yes, yes, it is weird. Thank you. This was very serendipitous. So, huge shout out to my dear friend and business colleague, Connie Keene, who is an energy master. She and I met in a business program. And in the same way that you and I were like magnetically drawn to each other, Connie and I were. And I thought, yeah, I'm really good at energies. And then I met Connie. I was like, oh, humbly, I acknowledge that you do energetically is something that I've never experienced before. She's really, really masterful in some of the same ways. She knew the Enneagram and she was like, and so many people have told me I need to learn it more, whatever. Like, you are the person that needs to teach that to me. And so we like worked with each, we took all of each other's programs in the early beta stages. And during the pandemic, we would get on Zoom and I would just say to her, this is the Hornivian triad. Like, this is the body. Like, here's what it is and here's what it means. And I was using my ENFP brain to like give that like big picture. And she would like sort of breathe and bring it in and go, okay, here's the energy for that. And I would write it down on a whiteboard. And
Oh, just the
and then
creation. God, I love
yes. Yeah, we created all of that and then we made the videos for it. We married the teachings and that's what you've been experiencing. So and now that it's so normal now that I forget how fun it was to like bring that in. So so basically what it is if you know the Enneagram, you know there are certain triads. There's the, you know, the intelligence centers, there's the problem solvers, there's the or anyway, there are all these different triads in this nine-pointed symbol. And so there are energy flows for all of those triads. And then for the Enneagram types, each of the nine types has four triads, and they are all in a different combination. And so we have flows for each type as well. So and then we practice those on Monday mornings. And you don't have to know or be a certain type to get the benefit of it. But when you sort of marry the Friday sessions, the end of the week sessions, the zero drag sessions with the Mondays on Fire sessions, you start to go, oh, these cognitive and behavioral and emotional patterns are also energetic, and we can work with them that way.
yeah. So how do you tell someone that's pretty much corporate
Oh,
minded?
yeah, that. Okay. Yeah. So I will tell you, it took me years to stop avoiding the reality that my gut was telling me I had to bring this into the leadership spaces because I went, are you crazy, self, higher self, whatever, like whoever you are?
Mhm.
This is so woo and weird. I did not learn it in a, like, there are wounds here. I do, like, nobody will take me seriously. Why? What? No. And it was only when I did it that it started working. And I have at least as many men in the program as I do women, which just blows my mind every time because they come in, they're like, this is really weird. I'm outside my comfort zone. And
Uh-huh.
then they do the practices and they're like, okay, that actually feels really better. And
Yeah.
I actually, and then they will end up saying, I was really suspicious. I was really doubtful. I did not believe this. And yet it has changed my life for the better.
Those
So,
stories. Oh, I love it.
yeah. Yeah. So, so I have just learned to trust that when people actually are courageous enough to come into this space, and I hold the space very gently, and I use scientific terms, and I like understand like we're talking about breathing and movement. We like I try to keep it you know upbeat. It's Monday morning. We're working with our biology right here, and because it works, people
Mhm.
keep coming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. And just trusting that it does work and then it does. Like, man, I can relate to that too with human design. When you ask for someone's birthday and then they instantly are like, ah,
And my birth time and my city.
uh-huh, yep, yep.
That's a lot of information.
But thank you for sharing about that. And I can totally see it. Like I'm thinking of some of the, male executives that I know, and like my mom and sister are, high up in their companies. And I think about how can we receive this? I think a lot of people are more open to movement and yoga or energetic work, even hospitals, right?
Yes, you can
But
order Reiki.
yes, yeah. But it's still on that line. Maybe this is another divide, energetic divide, not instead of the digital divide, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're kind of right on that line right now of like, we are energy beings. So it makes sense that once we try it and it works, we're like, oh, all right, I guess we won't ask questions anymore. But,
Yeah,
but, it's still our smart minds and our wise brains and our training says, no, I don't think so.
that is, yeah. And I really have so much compassion because I was at
Yeah.
WashU as a professor when I started learning this stuff from my therapist, whom I trusted like
Right.
beyond anything. And she was starting to bring these things that she was just learning into her practice with me. And I remember one session, I was like, I have such a huge headache right now. And she's like, that's okay, it's just your analyzer. And I was like, it really hurts my analyzer. And she was right. It was trying to figure out things that it couldn't figure out. And when I released into the flow of it, the headache did go away. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And, an energetic practice is really just coming back home. So
Mhm.
even if it is weird, it makes sense.
Yes.
It makes sense if our minds think it's weird, that if it feels that it can feel good and still be weird at the same time.
Yeah.
And that builds trust in your body. And that's what we're talking about here anyway, right? Is that our
Exactly.
bodies hold wisdom, our bodies hold trauma. So if it remembers, oh yeah, we need this.
Hmm.
At one point you're like, I don't know why it works. Think about prayer, right? We're praying. I don't know
Exactly.
how it works, but it works. It's an energetic practice. So if it's faith, it's belief in a way. And that isn't so weird for most people. So
No, it's true. And what I found is that, okay, so one of the first companies that I worked for, they were a beautiful blue collar organization, had come out of COVID with some serious trauma. They were essential workers. They had lost their CEO to COVID. And so they were really rebuilding. And they were, to a person, they were churchgoers and they were very like devout. And what I discovered is that they were really suspicious. Like, is she gonna make us meditate? And I was like, nope, we're just breathing. We're breathing and noticing our breath.
yeah,
We
we'll
don't
call
have
it
to
something
call it
different until
meditation.
you feel good.
First session with them, they went into the deepest, most healing meditational trance state. I didn't want to bring them out because it was so clear they needed this. Their nervous systems needed it. And afterwards I went, oh, these are all praying people. They are used to
I
bowing their
know,
heads and focusing. Of course,
right?
this would actually make sense for their bodies, even though their minds don't like the word. Yeah.
Wow, that's a neat
It was,
story.
yeah, it was really cool.
I have two other questions. I'm not sure if you'll have answers for them, so feel free to take your time and think about them, but I'm going to give them to you both. So I'm curious what you think about, like, I talk about burnout a lot and overwhelm, and kind of my shtick, the thing that I like to help people with is we're going to just make little adjustments. We're going to
Mhm.
take out some of that burnout, take out some of that overwhelm without blowing up your life, right?
Yeah.
So I'd love to know if, in terms of leadership, is there a belief that has just been completely outgrown that we need to scrap to the floor if we
Mhm.
want to help burnout? What's the leadership belief that needs to go? And then what do you think is the leadership trait or the most powerful thing a leader can do in 2026 to
Mhm.
like support their team or to be a leader that feels purposeful and fulfilled even?
Okay. Let me answer the second one first because it's right in my brain. The most important thing that a leader can do is work on their own self-awareness.
Hmm.
Like really, really understand and become really curious about what is happening within me when I'm feeling the frustration or whatever. When I am in the space where I'm confronting the problems, the practice of tuning into my own wisdom systems, to tuning into what's my gut telling me, where's my heart right here, where's my clear mind, how can I be sure that I am making good decisions? Having that internal focus rather than a blaming focus is huge. So 100% healthy responsibility is the biggest thing that a leader needs to do. Just
And
focus on yourself. Yeah.
let me just add here that we are all leaders of ourselves. So
Right
take
on.
take that trade, even if you don't have a leadership title. That is so
Exactly,
good.
which is why this is so beautiful because it definitely works for executives and it definitely works for our own
Yeah.
inner, um, I don't know, like
Self
inner
leadership.
royalty, like
Hmm.
the leaders that we are inside,
Yeah.
our own regal selves. Yeah, because we do. That is our domain. So we own our own domains, whatever our position is. Yeah.
Well,
That's the second question. And the first one, what is it that we need to ditch? What do leaders need to
Yeah,
ditch?
what's the
That's a good
thing that
thing.
people
Yeah.
like, this is what leadership
Flush it
is.
down the toilet. I would say making assumptions that
Mm,
I know and that I'm right is probably, I don't know whether that's a human thing. I think we need to ditch the idea that other people should be doing what we think they should be doing.
mm,
I really think we need to ditch that because,
yeah,
yes, there are certain tasks that you just have to do, whatever you have to do because they're your job. And also, there is so much room for people to have attunement to purpose that will drive their ability to complete those tasks well and with integrity. I don't necessarily know what that way is for you, which is why tools like human design and the Enneagram that really tune us into what does work well for us are just, they're next level. They're coming in. I think that human design should be coming into the executive spaces. I really do. I mean, I don't even know that much about it, but it just makes so much sense when you're like, oh, it's spot on, spot on, spot
right. Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of a place that I've been really drawn to lately. And I think you're so inspirational in how you've done it with the Enneagram and brought in the energetic practice, like showing it can be done. That's really inspiring to me.
on.
I
Yeah.
think, yes, you're so right. And when you were sharing about yours, I know this isn't exactly what you said, but I could say also just because of the hierarchy, this person's smarter than you, or someone under the hierarchy, or the lower hierarchy, lower on the pole, whatever we call this.
Yeah. Wherever. Yeah.
Um, this would be a less than human or a less than value add, when this might be, who knows, maybe you just hired a manifester for a janitor and that's how your business is going to grow in 2026. You don't know.
Exactly. You don't know. And that's I love that. I think that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So since we don't know, staying in not artificial humility, but real powerful humility. I don't know.
Yeah,
I get to
there's
find
no
out.
threat to your position if you care for people and value them. Like there just
Exactly.
isn't.
Nope.
Wow, I think that's powerful. I think that the it's just important whether you're in a corporate setting or not to remember those two things for sure. Um, okay, this is how I like to end interviews on this podcast. Is I know that you're intuitive. I know that you have a lot that you could share, and our conversations are so short. But I would love for you to just take a moment, take a deep breath, as long as you need, honestly, and see, is there something that's been left unsaid, something that either comes to you, whether it has anything to do with what we talked about or not, something that you still want to say, you want to share off the wall or not, and maybe you have a little message or a word for us too.
Mhm. Well, the first thing that came to mind was actually just a great appreciation for you and your the way that you're bridging a gap, you're allowing yourself to literally be inspired to take the human design work that you're doing into spaces that are not used to human design. And that was the very first thing that came in. I'm like, a deep appreciation for that because it takes great courage to like go, yep, that's actually where it needs to be. And I'm honored and excited for you. That was the So that's the first thing that came in. Let's see if there's something else. So there is a quotation that means a lot to me. It is from Eckhart Tolle. It is actually the anchor for this Flow No Grow, my second anthology book that's going to be coming out this year. And the quotation is, "Do not let a mad world tell you that success is anything other than a successful present moment."
Hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Tell our listeners how they can get enrolled in your executive OS program, how they can connect with you, anything you want to share about your business and what you're looking to connect to people for. I mean, maybe it's for our listener, maybe they know someone that needs what you offer.
Awesome. Well, the easiest thing to do, my link tree is in the show notes. So go to my link tree and then just you can click on the Flow No Grow free course, and that will give you a taste of what I do. And if you want to connect and have a conversation and I don't know, share with me whatever's going on with you, see if this is a good match. There are ways to connect with me there on that link tree as well. So there's a thing I think that says connect with Lynnea. So just put that information in there. You can also find me on LinkedIn and DM me or whatever. The opportunity, what I tell people is that the easiest and most cost-effective way to start working with me if you're interested is to consider investing in becoming an author in my anthology. It's a fairly low investment and you get to have and other good effects of telling your own story, being published, becoming a best-selling author, having be a part of that community, and then being anchored in my programs. So I would love to talk with anybody who's interested in telling their story right now.
Yes, I hope that you will if you're listening and that spoke to you. All you generators out there, if your gut says heck yes, do it.
Love it.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I hope that we can do it again soon. I appreciate you and the work that you do, especially knowing that you're, local to me and you're doing such great work in the companies and with the people that, I'm brushing shoulders with at Walmart and all that. So thank you. All right. Well, that's all I've got until next week, right? So make sure you check out the show notes, check out that link tree, and I will have a new conversation starter in the Facebook group Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert. So make sure to go over there. Or if you have questions for myself or Lynnea, we've got a Google form right in the show notes as well. And my promise to you is to answer your questions on a future episode. So that's all. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired by Design with Katie Rupert. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, subscribe, or even leave a review to help others find the show. For more tools and insights, visit my free Facebook group. And until next time, keep embracing exactly who you are and move forward one inspired action at a time.